Good day, everyone. We are the Group 4, and I am Rajilia Pak, joined by my teammates Miss Batobato, Mr. Paniares, Mr. Jimenez, Miss Umandak, Miss Ratonil, and Mr. Manlangit. Today, we will delve into the important topic of global migration. Our objectives, the first one is to identify the reasons for the migration of people. The second one is explain why states regulate migration. And lastly, the discuss the effect of global migration on the economic well-being of states. Before we begin, I would like to share some insights regarding of this picture. In an increasingly interconnected world, the movement of people transcends borders, cultures, and generations. This vibrant depiction of individuals walking around the globe serves as a powerful reminder of the rich diversity that migration brings. Each person carries unique stories, motivations, and aspirations, whether they are seeking better opportunities, fleeing because of the conflict that happened to their places, or reuniting with loved ones. Together, this narrative illustrates the shared human experience that binds us up, emphasizing that our differences enrich rather than divide us. What is migration? Migration is not merely a response to immediate circumstances. It is deeply intertwined with historical processes and societal transformations. As defined by Buswell 2002, migration is influenced not only by economic aspirations but also by political motivations. Throughout history, individuals have sought refuge from oppressive regimes or escape violent conflict, highlighting the critical role of political dynamics in shaping migration patterns. Many people flee their homelands due to government repressions and armed conflict in search of safety and freedom in more stable environments. Moreover, migration has often been driven by the quest for natural resources and economic opportunities. This pursuit for better living conditions has been a fundamental aspect of human behavior for centuries. This ongoing trend underscores the necessity for societies to adapt to evolving economic landscapes while addressing the root causes of migration. To continue and explore this topic further today, my groupmates will identify the reasons behind the migration, explain why states regulate it, and discuss its effect on the economic well-being of nations. Thank you for your attention.
Good day, everyone. I am Rosemary Badabato. So next, we were going to discuss the categories of global migration that were created. First, the voluntary economic migration is rooted is the pursuit of economic stability. Ang voluntary economic migration refers to the movement of individuals from one place to another. It typically across regions or countries. Kani based by their personal choice or decision para ma-improve nila ilang economic situation. Voluntary economic migration occurs when people seek a better job opportunities or higher wages para ma-improve nila ilang living standards. For example, ako, move ko from a rural area to a city or from one country to another para makasecure ko higher paying job or ma-pursue nga ako akong career. Next, Our second, the forced displacement. The movement of persons who have been forced or obliged to flee or to leave their homes. Ang forced displacement, this is where pagpahawa sa mga tao gikan sa ilang community. This ilang way ani is presahon nila, but mostly tungod sa ilang kalamidad or kanang like natural disaster or giyera. Ang kanang mga victims they call the displaced person o kini like mga internally displaced person, like kung sulod sila sa ilang community, or refugees kung napugos sila nga mo adtog lain kanang country. So the third is the refuge crisis. Ang refuge crisis is a situation where daghang tao nga mapugos siya og biya silang area. Same na sila sa forced displacement because same sa tungod sa natural calamity or uban pa nga mga reasons where this result sa mga dako nga kalisod sa ilaha kay ng mga needs, like ang crisis sa ila kay kasagaran kanang kulang sa mga resources, humanitarian aid or mga ways silang pag-help sa ila. So next, there are two types of migration. First, the internal migration and the international migration. To explain, ang internal is mao same your Japon ni sa like kaning voluntary economic migration, forced displacement. Mao ni ang pagbalhin sa mga tao kung gikan sa ilang lugar to another country or kanang region, like but it's sulod siya sa country di ay wrong. Ang internal migration is kumabalhin ka but sulod sa country, like ako from a province mobalhin ko to city kanang kasagaran kay because sa economic reason kanang opportunity or mangita sila kanang mas better nga work, like kanang gikan sa mga province like that. Then ang international migration is refers sa mga people na move siya across sa international borders or kanang example from to settle temporarily or permanent sa laing country. Kaning this type of migration maka-help siya for various reasons and involve siya sa individuals, families, or groups na move ka between the countries. And that's all.
Good day everyone, I am Carlito Jimenez, and now I'm going to discuss the benefits and detriments for descending countries, migrant workers, remittance, and economic impact. Remittance is the our money sent by people working abroad to their families in their home countries. They help support basic needs and boost the economy on developing countries. A significant economic impact. In 2014, migrant workers sent home approximately $580 billion in remittance, with India leading at $70 billion, followed by China $62 billion, the Philippines $28 billion, and Mexico $25 billion. And these funds are really important because they help families improve their family's living condition, no? By providing money for things like housing, healthcare, and education, no? And social transformation is remittance enhance the economic and social status of migrants and their families, enabling them to invest in new homes and consumer goods. This financial support often doubles the purchasing power of migrants' family, facilitating access to education for children. And next is the concern about sustainability. Despite their benefits, reliance on remittance raises concerns about long-term economic sustainability. No, ang kaning concern about sustainability, if relying too much on remittance can be risky for a country's economy in the long run, no? Kay if ang mga tao, no, nag-rely on money from abroad instead of creating local jobs and businesses sa ilang lugar, no, the economy may become weak and less self-reliant, no. And next is the global migration's impact on qualified personnel, impact of brain drain. Global migration is significantly contributing to the brain drain, where qualified personnel, particularly dynamic young workers, are leaving their home countries. According to the McKinsey Global Institute, countries in Sub-Saharan Africa and Asia have lost 1/3 of their college graduates, no? Kanino ang pasabot aning brain drain, no? Mga college graduate and mga skilled person, no, nga dito na narbaho sa laing lugar, no, nag-abroad instead of sa ilang lugar, no. Mao gini nahitabo sa Pilipinas, no, kay kasagaran gid sa mga college graduate o na mga skills in abroad ay kini abroad kay mas dako o great dito. And the skill immigration rates, approximately 60% of migrants to OECD countries are college graduates, compared to only 9% of overall population in these countries. The Philippines now, 52% of overseas workers possess tertiary education, more than double the national average of 23%. And next, the consequences for home countries. The immigration of professionals such as doctors has repercussions for their home countries. For instance, in 2006, 15% of locally trained doctors from 21 sub-Saharan African nations migrated to the US or Canada, with particularly high losses in Liberia 43%, Ghana 30%, and Uganda 20%. No. And next is the long-term development challenges. This trend not only depletes essential human capital but also hinders economic development and innovation in the migrants' home countries, exacerbating existing challenges in healthcare and education system. Kanino in when skilled people, no, like mga doctors, teachers, and engineers, no, leave their country, it cause good og big problem, no, kay it's harder to improve, no, healthcare, education, and the economy sa ilang lugar. So that's all.
Good day everyone, my name is John Leonard Pañares and I'll be the reporter for the continuation of benefits and determinants for descending countries. So, government policy on migration. Governments recognize the long-term economic challenges posed by brain drain but continue to promote migrant work due to the significant impact of the remittances on GDP. So governments know that losing skilled workers is bad for the economy, but they also know that money sent home by people who move to other countries helps their economy grow. For the institutional support for migration. So to facilitate migration, many countries have established specialized departments and agencies such as Bangladesh Bureau of Manpower or the Employment and Training, India's Office of the Protector of Immigrants, and the Philippine Overseas Employment Agency or the POEA. So, to make it easier for people to move and work in other countries, many governments have special offices. For example, Bangladesh has an office to help people find jobs abroad, and the India has an office to protect people who move to work in other countries. And the Philippines has an office that helps people find jobs overseas. And for the sustainability of migrant-dependent economies, the effectiveness and sustainability of economies reliant on remittances will largely depend on the strength and functionality of these governmental institutions. So for whether countries that rely on money sent home from people working abroad stay strong depends on how well these government offices work.
Good morning, sir. I'm John Matei Manlangit. I will be the one to discuss about the labor institution, migrant economies, and the problem of human trafficking. So I'll just give some overview of labor institution and migrant economies. So the labor migration plays a critical role in the sustainability of migrant-dependent economies. Key institutions such as the Labor Ministry and the Philippines Overseas Employment Agency or POEA are tasked with managing labor migration and ensuring the protection of migrant workers. Their effectiveness is crucial for sustaining these economies as they help regulate labor practices and nag-provide po siyang support sa overseas worker and ginamitigate niyang risk associated with the migration. So next is the problem of human trafficking. So human trafficking remains a global crisis, increasing challenges faced by migrant workers. Ang US Federal Bureau of Investigation or FBI ina-identify niya human trafficking as the third largest criminal activity globally. So with the International Labour Organization or ILO, nasa report nila na 21 million victim of forced labor sa year 2012. This equates to 3 out of every 1,000 people worldwide. And here are some statistics of the problem of the human trafficking. So 90% of victims or 18.7 million are exploited by private enterprises. Second is the 22% or 4.5 million suffer sexual abuse. 68% is 14.2 million are forced into labor in agriculture, manufacturing, and infrastructure. And lastly is domestic work. So, ang human trafficking has been immensely profitable. Nag-generate siya 150 billion annually by 2014 na benefiting syndicates, smugglers, and corrupt individuals. And mauni ang challenges sa paglaban sa human trafficking. So, despite the efforts sa mga government or private sectors and civil society para ma-address ang human trafficking, ang outcomes have been inconsistent factors contributing to these uneven results. just like inadequate enforcement of anti-trafficking laws. Second is corruption within state institutions. Lastly is the lack of cross-border coordination to address trafficking networks. So, saan man siya pag-address sa mga challenges? So, mauling buhaton or actions na dapat buhaton. First is to strengthen the institution like the Labor Ministry and POEA to better regulate migration and para sa maprotektahan ang mga workers overseas. So, next is the increased international collaboration to disrupt trafficking networks and prosecute offenders. Third is the expand public awareness campaigns on human trafficking risk para ma-aware ang ubang tao about sa human trafficking and dili na sila ma-appeal or sa human trafficking. So lastly is the support victim or rehabilitation programs and enhance access to legal social services for survivors. So the conclusion is that the sustainability of migrant-dependent economies and the fight against human trafficking nag-require siya og robust and coordinated action para sa tanan sectors and ma-strengthen ang institution para sa anang POEA and ma-address ang systematic vulnerabilities are essential steps towards ensuring safer migration and para sa malabanan ang exploitation o ang human trafficking.
Good day everyone, I am Kate Antoinette Umandak and I will be continuing the discussion. Now I will discuss integration. Integration in the context of migration refers to the process of migrants becoming a part of the social, economic, and cultural fabric of their new home country, and it involves a two-way process where both the migrants and the host community adopt and adjust to each other. A final issue relates how migrants interact with their new home countries, so migrant integration presents a complex issue. Migrants often contribute significantly to a host nation's GDP or gross domestic product, their access to essential services. People moving to new countries often help the economy, but they can have a hard time finding homes, healthcare, and education. Migrants from certain regions like China, India, and Western Europe often have smoother integration experiences due to factors like similar cultural backgrounds, higher education skills, and stronger social networks. In contrast, migrants from regions like the Middle East, North Africa, and Sub-Saharan face greater hurdles like cultural differences, lower levels of education and skills, and discrimination and prejudice. So let's example a scenario. So, migrant A Chinese engineer with a master's degree, moves to the United States. So he or she may find it relatively easier to find a job in his or her field due to his or her qualifications and the presence of a large Chinese diaspora in the U.S., providing social support and networking opportunities. While migrant B, a refugee from Syria with limited formal education, arrives in the same U.S. city, he or she may face challenges finding employment due to language barriers and a lack of recognized qualifications. Additionally, cultural differences and potential discrimination could hinder his or her integration into the community. In the United States and Singapore, there are types of Filipino workers. First is the blue-collar workers. These are people who do manual labor or work that requires physical skills. Example, construction workers, factory workers, mechanics, and plumbers. Next is the white-collar workers. These are people who work in offices or other professional settings. Examples are teacher, doctors, lawyers, accountants, engineer, and others. The terms blue-collar and white-collar are used to broadly categorize different types of jobs. Democratic states assimilate immigrants and their children by granting them citizenship and the rights that go with it. especially public education. So, meaning democratic states welcome immigrants by granting them citizenship and rights, especially access to public education. Next is governments and private businesses have made policy changes to address integration problems such as using multiple languages in state documents and training programs, meaning governments and businesses actively work to help immigrants integrate by using multiple languages and providing training programs.
Good day everyone, I am Freya Ratuniel. So, in conclusion, migration is a complex phenomenon influenced by a myriad of social, economic, and political factors. It encompasses voluntary economic migration, forced displacement, and the refugee crisis, each with distinct motivation and implication. While migrants contribute significantly to the economies of their host countries, enhancing productivity and generating substantial remittances for their home nations, they also face challenges related to integration and the potential for brain drain, sending countries grapple with the dual pressures of benefiting from remittances while losing skilled labor, which can hinder long-term development. Moreover, issues such as human trafficking and the socio-economic barriers migrants encounter highlight the need for comprehensive policies that protect their rights and facilitate their integration. Ultimately, addressing the multifaceted challenges of migration requires collaboration among governments, civil society, and the private sector to foster an environment that maximizes the benefits of migration while mitigating its adverse effects on both migrants and their countries of origin. That's all. Thank you.